steering through Africa's two-speed automotive industry. In the fast lane is a mature and vibrant market racing along. In the slower lane, there's an industry that still needs to get into gear. Join me as we get behind the wheel of one of Africa's most exciting industries, alongside a dynamic set of leaders who are transforming their businesses. Most South Africans would have sat inside a VW at some point. It's the country's best-selling passenger vehicle, but its African ambitions stretch far beyond its traditional home on the continent.
VW has been in South Africa for the last 70 years, and we have a dominant market share position. So in passenger vehicles, we've achieved 24%, which is a fantastic position to be in. And also, if we think about VW Group, it is the biggest market share in terms of passenger vehicles in a single market across the group. So really fantastic in terms of what VW's achieved in South Africa. The demand side is really important because manufacturing and production is a scale game. Right? So you have to have the scale demand that warrants moving from what we do at the moment, which is assembly, to actual production in
because you're importing parts and you're just assembling
exactly, and that would be the first step. As we then stimulate demand, then we move on to more sophisticated levels of production, and then you start building the value chain around that, right? So supply and component manufacturers, but once again, to make it attractive for them, they've got to see the demand.
During our conversation, Rochelle referred to many African countries, including Rwanda, which she called VW's test kitchen. Let's head there now to discover what they're doing in the world of e-mobility.
Rwanda being a country that is forward-looking and wanting to be a test for Africa, a country where you can do a test for business models that can be rolled out through Africa, and Volkswagen being an innovative company wanting to shape the future of mobility through green solutions. And so when these two strategic minds met, and there was a joint vision.
Volkswagen is keen to pitch itself as a green motor company and would love to sell electric cars across the continent. This is still some way from becoming a reality.
Yes, selling e-vehicles in Africa, it's still a work in progress. The reason why we started using e-vehicles in the mobility fleet was to understand the charging patterns under the tropical conditions, I may say, and to understand also which type of EV is the best for the African continent.
In Rwanda, it isn't just cars that are going electric. This young Kigali-based entrepreneur appears to believe 4 wheels good, 2 wheels better. Ampersand believes it is Africa's first electric motorbike company.
So far we've been at this now since about 2016. We arrived in Rwanda about then and started looking at which type of vehicle to electrify first. We were really looking for what could be the first vehicle that could become cheaper and better, but still electric in the market. And since then, we've brought out various different prototypes. We brought scooters, and we arrived eventually at the model that we've seen now out on the street.
The plan they came up with was modifying motorbikes that already existed.
So it costs tens of millions of dollars, even hundreds of millions, to develop a vehicle that's the equivalent of a high-quality motorcycle from the ground up. And in our case, we just worked out that it wasn't necessary to do that. And that means that now actually we've arrived at a battery pack and drivetrain, a battery swapping system that can integrate pretty easily with most of the popular existing models out there on the road.
Ampersand offers taxi motorcyclists an electric motorcycle that it says is cheaper from day one. Having proved popular in Rwanda and raising funds from Silicon Valley, there are now plans to look at other markets. The plan is to tread carefully.
So we've certainly seen from other businesses in mobility and ride-hailing, also in solar home systems, how taking one model that works in one country and just cookie cutter, cut and pasting it across another country, it doesn't work well. So we're very respectful of the differences in the market conditions and the policy frameworks and customer preferences in those countries.
Cautious for now, but confident about what the future holds.
It takes time, but we're very confident and optimistic that we can electrify all the motorbikes in Rwanda by 2025 and all motorbikes in East Africa by 2030.
Ambitious plans, but maybe dreaming big is the way forward for everyone involved in Africa's auto industry.
Over 1,000 components go into every one of these vehicles, and if you think about the local processed raw materials, the engineering skills and the industrial capacity that is required, South Africa has had over 100 years of experience in getting to this point and localizing value chains. Now, African countries want to accelerate this process, and that means having the right people steering the industry in the right direction. I'm Eleni Jokos in Gqeberha, South Africa. Thanks so much for watching this edition of Connecting Africa.